It's 2022. White women, you're going to need to listen up. You want some help? I'll give you some help. You're not going to like it. It's tough love. So this is about a letter from a slave. And what this is about was this, when slavery ended, the slave took off. His slave master wrote him a letter, and he wrote back and basically told his slave master, his former slave master, where to go. And the letter garnered a lot of attention, published in papers and whatnot. And then years later, people started questioning, was it a real letter? Come to find out, yes, it was real. The slave did not write it. He dictated the letter. And then fast forward over 150 years later, or 100 years later, whatever, a journalist wanted to track down the family. And so I think he tracked down both sides, but I know he wanted to talk to the slave owners' descendants. He found them. And to this day, those descendants are mad. They're mad because slavery ended. They're mad because they lost the money, even though the U.S. government gave slave owners, I think it was a few $100s per slave. So basically their fake high IQ couldn't actually make it work. Didn't have no concept of how to run a real business without forcing people to do the work that they were too lazy to do. What's the point? What does this have to do with white women? The reality is white women don't deal with reality. It never occurred to you that your men didn't like you? It never occurred to you that your men thought less of you? What do you think the feminist movement was all about? And those men became livid when women got freedoms. They don't want you having your own bank account. They don't want you outside the home. You sit back and say, well, where are all the men? Why are the men acting like this? Because they don't want you out there. They want to have all the jobs. They want to have you behind closed doors. They want you barefoot and pregnant. You know, if they don't want, and a lot of them want you specifically, they don't necessarily want children. They want that wifey. They want that wife experience. There is and it's floating around, there was a Reddit of a man who entrapped a woman into pregnancy. And now he's angry because the woman gave up her parental rights. She didn't want to be a parent. So she had the baby for him, handed the baby over, gave up parental rights. She pays child support, but she wants nothing to do in the rearing process. And he's angry because he's tired. He doesn't feel it's right. He wants to sue her to force her to come take care of the child because he was stupid enough to think that he was going to get the wife experience, that he'd have this woman who would have this maternal love for this baby. And, she'll want to sit back and be involved. She doesn't want anything to be involved. And he's mad. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Y'all need to deal with reality. A lot of your men are mad. What do you think Mick Gallon incel is all about? They don't like you having freedoms. And so what's the one thing that they can attack and make it a religious issue, a virtual issue, even though the powers that be only want money and bodies? They attack your body. You don't have the right to that body. That body needs to be used to bring forth a soul for God. Even though most of them don't really care. The amount of people who don't care about God or babies, it's just being used. And so that's what's moving forward. And the fact that a lot of you women don't understand this, and you're crying out, wondering, why don't the men support us? Because they want you back, and you're not going back to them in the manner they want. You're too free. And if they can be if they can be angry about black people being free over 150 years later, why don't you think that they can be angry about you being free 50, 60, 70 years later? As a general rule, European men have never really respected their women. Few tribes here and there. As a general rule, no, you were always bodies for their pleasure. You can go to every indigenous population. You will see women were valued as humans. Yes, they had to bring forth babies, but their opinions mattered. Their counsel mattered. You're the only people who, for women, did not matter. You were just a token, a toy. Your men are mad. And now you're going to pay the price because you did not respect, nor did you value the freedom that your grandmothers and mothers fought for. So deal with that reality and work